WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is back in court this week, where he is set to appeal his impending extradition to the US.
If he fails, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Let's speak to the legal commentator, Joshua Rozenberg. Joshua, thank you so much for your time. Good morning. Can you just remind us, I think everyone knows this name, Julian Assange, but what actually is it that he's facing tomorrow? What could the repercussions be?
The United States wants to put him on trial there for espionage charges, and he is renewing his appeal. The first time was unsuccessful against a decision by the Home Secretary to approve his extradition. So if he doesn't get permission to appeal as a result of the hearing this week, well, yes, he will be on a plane to the United States, certainly as far as the courts of the United Kingdom are concerned.
Joshua, thank you so much indeed for joining us today. I think Rosie makes a really brilliant point. So many people have heard the name, seen him stood on that balcony, but wonder about the intricacies of this situation. If the United States and the United Kingdom are such close allies, why are we not just extraditing him? What point am I missing? What's the reason, the legal reason, that he's able to appeal to something if what he did was essentially wrong and should be tried for it?
One of the arguments that was successful at one point in the magistrate's court was the treatment that he would get in a United States prison. He said he would be sent to a maximum security prison, which he wouldn't be able to cope with. That was enough to persuade a magistrate, a senior district judge in London, that he shouldn't be extradited, but that argument was overturned by the High Court on the basis of assurances from the United States that he wouldn't be sent to this maximum security prison and that his human rights would be respected if he was put on trial in the US.
Do we assume, sorry, you're the legal expert, do you have to be proven guilty before you're extradited? Does there need to be a wealth of proof, really, or because of human rights? I don't know. Help me out. Do they think he's innocent in the United Kingdom, or do they not really care?
It's not for them. They are not prosecuting him in the United Kingdom. Obviously, the US has to come up with grounds on which it's seeking his extradition, and there are all sorts of tests. You wouldn't send somebody for trial abroad to a country which wouldn't give them a fair trial. You wouldn't put them on trial abroad for something that's not a crime here in the United Kingdom. So there are certain safeguards before we send people abroad, whether they're British citizens or not. But subject to that, if a country with whom we have an extradition treaty seeks the return of somebody who is in this country, subject to safeguards, that person is sent there, just as we in the United Kingdom would seek the return of somebody to stand trial here if they were charged with offences here and they were taking refuge in the United States.
So what argument will he and his legal team be putting forward tomorrow to say, I shouldn't be sent back to the US?
Well, we don't know that in detail because they haven't explained this in detail. And curiously, we haven't had a formal judgment published by the High Court judge who turned down his arguments last time. Basically, the judge said that there were no grounds to appeal. He hadn't come up with any reason. And I think this picks up the point that Jeremy has made. You do need a reason for avoiding extradition. You start from the assumption that a state like the United States has good grounds for seeking somebody to be sent over there for trial, somebody who's here in the United Kingdom, and he wasn't able to come up with any arguments that persuaded the court. Whether he'll be able to at the hearing that starts tomorrow and continues into Wednesday, we'll just have to wait and see.
Josh, your final thing, probably not a legal point, your view. His case has gone on, it seems, for ages. He seems to have attracted celebrity sort of godlike status. Vivienne Westwood, Pamela Anderson, people walking around the whole time. Why is that? I know legally America has to prove it, but if he's guilty of what they're saying in terms of this information, why are these people ready to run out and defend him? I don't understand.
I think they think what he's accused of doing shouldn't be a crime.
Right.
I think they think that free speech trumps any consequences. This is the Espionage Act of 1917. It's obviously not designed for circumstances like leaking documents and so on, but they think that people should be able to say what they like. Others say, well, there are consequences to free speech. You reveal information about agents who work for a foreign power, for example. You can damage the national interest. That's really what I think this is all about.
If he gets sent to the United States, faces trial there, and is found guilty of espionage, what are the consequences?
He says that the maximum prison sentence is 175 years. His wife says he'll die in prison. The US says that's not the case. Similar case, similar charges, perhaps not a similar defendant, got 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years, and he's already served 4.5 years in custody here in the United Kingdom, which would presumably be taken off. He might well get more than 5 years if convicted, but he would be free to serve his sentence back in his home country of Australia. So we can't tell what the consequences would be. There's a great deal of argument between his supporters and the US prosecutors as to what the sentence might be if he was convicted.
I know where I'm coming when I want something explained in the future. Joshua Rozenberg, thank you very, very much indeed.